One thing, when people hear about intersex, they are very curious. So even if somebody dares to get up a time for you, this person can even undress you to just see how an intersex kid is like.
And this is a female. You see, it's a female who has there's adrenal hyperplasia. You find the enlargement of the labia. We would reduce this so much, enlarge this, and then we would shave off this.
Okay.
And we have also reduced the clitoral length. You see, this is the clitoral length. This was this, so we split it down and fold it inwards.
Okay.
And once you fold it inwards, you see now the final picture. So when it comes to gender determination, we must think about the genetic sex, the morphological sex, the sex of rearing. Yes. And then the patient's perception. So this whole process can go wrong at any one particular time. And it may be a very subtle thing, something very minor. For example, you find in a male, we have the urethra opening at the tip of the glans penis. For some patients, you find the tip is opening just slightly below. And sometimes, usually, the penis you bend in that particular patient, and they may have either decided or undecided testes. That already is a very clear-cut boy. The testes are not in the scrotum, so when you feel them, you don't see them. The scrotal folds have enlarged and forms like labial folds, and we may confuse you for a girl, but actually, you are a boy. We did mention that once you have formed the female organs, supposing we have a hormone source from outside, either the mother is ingesting some hormones or your body is producing hormones, and you're going to see how this happens. Now, these hormones are male hormones. They act on a female, making what's called virilization, transferring you to a boy. You find the phallus enlarging, the clitoris becoming bigger to become like a phallus, and then you find the labial folds disappearing, and therefore you may find now some hair or male pattern or hair characteristics. That is called virilization of a female. So you are genetically a female, but you are exhibiting features of a male. On the other hand, you may have under-virilization. For a boy, we expect there to be growth in the testes. They are supposed to descend. The phallus are supposed to grow long, and the scrotal folds are supposed to form nicely. And then you don't have the hormone. Either the testes that was there, much as it gives you the genetic sex, did not make enough testosterone for you to virilize, or number two, your body is not responding to those hormones. The hormone may be there, the receptors for it are not working, and therefore you get under-virilization, and therefore you are going to exhibit symptoms of that may suggest an intersex. Cholesterol, which is the basic molecule from which most of the hormones are made. In this cholesterol structure is a 27 carbon. It's a 27 carbon structure, and we break it down to form a chemical that is called pregnenolone, and then it's supposed to be broken down, culminating in hormones like the cortisol that we make in the body. Supposing we have deficiency of these enzymes, congenital deficiencies of these enzymes, it means if I have hormones and enzymes up to this level, but I don't have enzymes beyond this, the precursors, the chemicals that are on this side, cannot be progress to form the cortisol on this side. So they start forming other hormones branching from that side. And that is how you find a young girl born with congenital adrenal hyperplasia, which is a problem with the adrenal gland. They are supposed to be making some hormones. Some enzymes are missing, and therefore the precursors, the things that are before that enzymes accumulate, they are converted to male hormones. And because you are not making this cortisol and your body wants to make more cortisol, it stimulates your brain to make more of this, but the products are ending up being steroids, male hormones. So these now male hormones act on the female to virilize the female and make it look like a boy.
People think that coming out is something that it's just something good, but it has also its consequences. there is something that we don't talk about and we feel ashamed talking about. That is sexual harassment. This thing has been happening to us. Like as for me, I faced it when I was in high school. So I usually say that that time I was sexually harassed by some ladies. So these are part of the things that we even fear to talk about, because they are a bit shaming. Because how will you go tell a person that you are getting sexually harassed? So these are the things that we get, because they do their things, and they are like, when you happen to talk, we'll do something bad to you. So they harass you, and we have no one to talk about. We have no one to tell. That is why I'm trying to come out and coming up for these kids, that I can even be there to listen to them, and I can help them. Even if I'll get a chance, I can help them, that they may grow knowing whom they are, and they may grow not facing this stigma that I myself faced.
The one thing that we have said is that there's a lot of stigma about it. So your guess is as good as mine, that many of these kids are hidden from us. Yeah. Some are actually locked up in houses and everything. So it's very difficult to give a figure, an actual figure. Number two is the spectrum of the whole issue. You have somebody with just an undecided testis. Both the testes are not descended. They are boys. Their testes are not descended. So they have what looks like intersex. But they walk around and nobody will ever expose them to show that they do exist. But if you go by a best guess, is anywhere between 1 in every 1,500 to 2,000. About 2,000, out of every 2,000 babies, one you have an intersex condition, some degree of intersex condition. And you can see that quite an appreciable number. Yeah. But now the other extremes, these very extremes, like the ones with both organs, are very, very rare. Sometimes 1 in 40,000.
When I came out of school, my life was not a smooth life. Let me say it was a dangerous life. And up to today, the life that I live, it's a very dangerous life. One thing, when people hear about intersex, they are very curious. So even if somebody dares to get up time for you, this person can even undress you to just see how an intersex kid is like, or how these things are like. So out of curiosity, they have been doing very bad things to us. When I came out of my social media, a certain man inboxed me, and he was requesting that I go and have. Let me just come out clear. He was requesting that I go and sleep with him, and when I refused, he was like, "I'll disclose who you are." You know, now I will disclose who you are. That time I had not come out clearly, so he just found me in the intersex group, but I had not come out in my social media. So he was like, "You Betty, I'll tell people who you are." So these are some of the things that we are facing through. I think it was last year, I had a friend who came out just the way I've come out. And he was called by a friend, just come, we want to help you. We want to just help you become who you are. And at long last, the girl was kidnapped. And I don't know, they really tortured the girl. So we are living in a dangerous world, especially intersex kid.
There have been murders. Infanticide is very common. Very, very common. I always give the example, I trained in India, and in India, it's illegal to declare the sex of a child. Indians is the girls who pay dowry. And there's a very big preference for the male child. To an extent, the government had to make deliberate stops at, even if you walk to a gynecologist, they will never do an ultrasound to determine for you the sex. You only discover the sex of your kid when the child is born. And this is to prevent the issue of murders of children, either in utero or immediately after birth, because people don't want this particular type of a child. So even in our scenario, we know that children have been killed, we know they have been struggled, and it's all about the problem of people being unaware about things that could be done for these children. Like I said, the stigma starts right from when the mother is being asked, what do we call this child? You have your form, your government documents, they only have male, female, they don't have a third category of intersex. This child, when they grow, they need a birth certificate for them to attend school. They can't be given a birth certificate because they didn't indicate it's a boy or a girl. When they grow up and they go to boarding schools, where do you categorize them? Are you going to put them in a boys' school, a girls' school? And even if they had issues and, for example, added in prison, are you going to imprison this person in a female jail or in a male jail? And I'm sure there are cases, even in the Republic of Kenya, that has been prosecuted of an inmate who was wrongly placed in a jail that he felt was not supposed to be where he belonged. And those are some of the challenges that needs to be addressed when you talk about this issue of intersex. So coming back to the issue of how common it is, yes, we see it quite often. The issues of the mild forms like the hypospadias, those are pretty common, and the surgeries are done pretty often. But these extreme ones of the over-testes perhaps are much rarer.
On the side of documentation, as for me, it has not been hard. But I had a friend who, at that particular time, he had a really difficult time because, you know, he was raised as a girl, but the body and everything appeared of a man. But he had the name of a girl. By the way, he changed just the other day. And he has been the leader of the intersex group. So he just changed the other day to James. I think he was called Olive. So this thing brought dilemma into our life. He went to fill the document and people are like, you know, you are Olive, but you're man. What is wrong with you? And even in school, he really faced tough time. He had tough time in school, including how he related with people, because the names were of a lady. And even he was even telling me that even in the gate, entering the school compound was a problem, because they could say, you've borrowed someone else's ID. So people face a lot. But as for me, it has not happened to me currently, because at least I've met when the government of Kenya has assigned some rules that are protecting us.
Do not assign a gender at birth if you are not sure, because we do not want to give you a gender. This child goes to school, we have to call back the child, change the birth certificate, change the name. They were already used to female friends and everything. Now we are telling you, no, you are on the wrong path. And now it even gets more interesting, because supposing the doctor and the mother are wrong, and this child identifies with the contractual gender, when now they grow up, we are assigned you a male, but you start behaving like a female when you come to adulthood, and it becomes a big source of conflict for you. So there are proponents who think that sex realignment can be done early. There are others who think don't do it early, wait until the child is able to make their own decision. But that comes at a very heavy cost. For those whom you do late reassignment, it comes with a heavy cost. One, the patient is aware, where are they going to grow up for all this time from age 0 to 14, 15 years, when perhaps you're supposed to be doing those reassignment surgeries. But much as it would be pleasing for them because they get to choose, the trauma that associated with it becomes an issue. And perhaps it also call for the government to change laws. How do we deal with this child? Where do we allocate you? What name do we give you? What certificate? What do you write on your certificate? Our certificates don't allow for the third gender, sadly. So how do we overcome that? And that's why the bigger school of thought thinks, let's do these things in childhood. Perhaps we may imprint. But remember, genetic imprinting can occur in utero. from the hormones that you're exposed to. So your mind gets the imprint that you are a female or a male from the time you are in utero.
On the side of washrooms, I found a difficult time when I was in high school, because you know I lived a very private life. So when we go to even those washrooms, I could try to hide myself. I could dress while hiding. You know, if it's a games day and we are given the games kit, we go and change. I could try my level best to hide myself so that I can change to those games kit. And so I remember a day that, you know, ladies followed me and they were like, "We want to see what you usually hide." And they even tried to undress me to see what I usually hide. But I thank God because of a teacher who came and found them. And they really lived a very suspicious life, of suspecting and trying to find out what I really hide. So that is the life that many intersex kids have been passing along. I even had a talk with that leader of mine, that is James. It on me and a tough time even in campus, because you could go to the ladies' washroom and they say, you know, there's a man coming to our washrooms, and it was difficult and hectic. So I recommend that, you know, these things, and particularly even in schools, let these intersex, I don't know if it will be clear, I put it like this, let the education system even teach about intersex kid. Let people understand what an intersex is, because people are fearing what they don't know. And people are really fearing because they don't know whom we are. They don't know that when we are about intersex, it's about stages, and we don't fit on the same shoes. That's why you will come to my Linda, somebody like James, you see, he's more of a man. You will come to Betty, he's more of a lady. But the two of us, we are intersex. So people, there's something they don't understand. We don't fit to one shoe. So I think if this education, they will be taught on what intersex is like, I think that thing will help a lot.